द वे फॉरवर्ड इज ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਹੁਤ-ਬਹੁਤ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਹੋਸਟ ਹਰਜੋਤ ਸਿੰਘ। ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਟਰੰਪ ਦੀ ਇੰਪੀਚਮੈਂਟ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੀਡਿੰਗਸ ਅੱਗੇ ਵਧ ਰਹੀਆਂ। ਹੁਣ ਇੱਕ ਐਸੀ ਸਟੇਜ ਆ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੀਅਰਿੰਗਸ ਹਨ ਹੁਣ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਣਗੀਆਂ। ਹਾਊਸ ਨੇ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਹਫਤੇ ਵੋਟ ਵੀ ਪਾਸ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਫॉर ਇੰਪੀਚਮੈਂਟ। ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਟਰੰਪ ਦੀ ਟੀਮ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਰਿਪਬਲਿਕਨ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਪੂਰੀ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਦਾ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਕੁਛ ਦੇ ਹੈਡ ਦਿਸ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਕਿ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਫੋਲੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ। ਹੁਣ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਪਹੁੰਚਿਆ ਹੈ, ਇਸ ਇੰਪੀਚਮੈਂਟ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੀਡਿੰਗਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀ ਡਿਵੈਲਪਮੈਂਟ ਹਨ, ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਕੋਰਸਪੋਂਡੈਂਟ ਜੈਗ ਰਾਜਪਾਲ ਜੀ ਨਾਲ। ਜੈਗ ਜੀ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਹੁਤ-ਬਹੁਤ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ।
ਹਾਈ ਹਰਜੋਤ।
ਜੈਗ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੋਗੇ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਇੰਪੀਚਮੈਂਟ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੀਡਿੰਗਸ ਇਸ ਲਈ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੀਆਂ?
So Harjot, almost ਮਹੀਨੇ ਪਹਿਲੇ or so when we had an episode, ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ viewers ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਿ impeachment ਦੀ inquiry start ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੈ। ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇੱਕ informal phase start ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ ਜਿੱਥੇ informal inquiry start ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਸੀ various committees ਨੇ। फिर ऑलमोस्ट 2-3 हफ्ते में एक हफ्ते पहले the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, she announced that she's launching a formal inquiry, and that was a formal direction by the House Speaker to different committees to start doing inquiries. This is where काफी back and forth चलता रहता है between Republican and Democratic Party कि ये process ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਸਹੀ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ follow ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈਗੀ। There's a way to conduct these inquiries. ਤੇ ਉਸੇ topic ਚ ਕਰਦੇ just a week and a half, 2.5 ਹਫ਼ਤੇ ਪਹਿਲੇ again Speaker Pelosi, she got together and they voted, the House voted on what the rules of these conducting these inquiries will be. The rules and guidelines for conducting these inquiries. उस रूल्स के उत्ते पूरे हाउस ने वोट किया। इट वाज अ वेरी पार्टिसन वोट। नन ऑफ द रिपब्लिकन्स वोटेड, ऑल डेमोक्रेट्स वोटेड एक्सेप्ट वन। से वो होया 1.5 हफ्ते पहले जी। स्टिल देयर आर कंप्लेंट्स कि अजे जेड़ा हैगा फॉर्मल हाउस ने पूरी ते ऑथराइजेशन नहीं दिती हैगी टू स्टार्ट अ फॉर्मल impeachment inquiry, just like happened with Bill Clinton and Richard Nixon times. तो वो प्रोसेस क्वेश्चन अजे भी उठाया जा रहा है एंड तीजा कदम क्यों नहीं उठाया जा रहा हैगा। There's some politics behind that in the Democratic Party. It's yet to be seen. We don't understand. We don't know what's going on. But this is where आज जड़ा हैगा अजे इस पास से है सी in the process side.
No, so I'm sorry, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ viewers से थोड़ा clarify करोगे what is it that needs to be done? We understand कि house ने vote pass कर देती है for impeachment inquiry. Is that right?
नहीं। So ये step ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ step ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ। This is what the biggest complaint by Republicans is ਜੀ ਕਿ ਅਜੇ house ਨੇ authorize ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ for launching a impeachment inquiry. house ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹ launch ਜਿਹੜਾ vote ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ this was ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਮੇਟੀਜ਼ ਇਨਕੁਆਇਰੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹਨ ਉਹ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਰੂਲਸ ਨੂੰ ਫੋਲੋ ਕਰਨਗੀ, ਕਿਹੜੇ ਗਾਈਡਲਾਈਨਸ ਨੂੰ ਫੋਲੋ ਕਰਨਗੀ। ਫॉर एग्जांपल यदि ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਸਬੀਨਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਫॉर ਕਮੇਟੀ ਦੇ ਹੀਅਰਿੰਗ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਤਾਂ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਬੀਨਾ ਕਰੋਗੇ, ਕੌਣ ਕਰੇਗਾ, ਕਿਹੜੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਹੈਗਾ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਵਗੈਰਾ। ਤੇ ਜਿਕਨ 1998 which was the most recent ਜਿਹੜੀ impeachment ਹੋਈ ਸੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਬਿਲ ਕਲਿੰਟਨ ਦੀ Kenneth Starr who published a report, investigating report. He published it to the Congress. Then all the House members read the report, and all the House members then they voted to launch a formal inquiry onto the impeaching of President Bill Clinton, which is called the authorization of impeachment. वो step अजे तक नहीं होया हैगा, and there's a lot of political reasons behind why Speaker Pelosi has not done it.
जी। ਤੇ ਇਸ ਸਟੇਜ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਫਾਰਮਲ ਚਾਰजेस ਹਨ ਉਹ ਕਿਸ ਸਟੇਜ ਤੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਣਗੇ?
ਤੇ ਇਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿਊਅਰਸ ਨੂੰ ਅਗੇਨ ਰਿਮਾਈਂਡ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਪੂਰਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ। ਇੰਪੀਚਮੈਂਟ ਦੀ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਹੋਈ ਹੈਗੀ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਟਰੰਪ ਦੀ ਕਾਲ ਹੋਈ ਸੀ ਵਿਦ ਯੂਕਰੇਨ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਜ਼ੈਲੈਂਸਕੀ ਜੀ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ allegations are there, ਇੱਕ whistleblower ਹੈਗਾ, and we'll talk whistleblower maybe in the later part of the episode. But somebody complained, ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਇਸ call ਨੂੰ ਸੁਣ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ when the two presidents were talking, ਉਸਨੇ complain ਕੀਤੀ ਆਪਣੇ inspector general ਨੂੰ in the intelligence community ਕਿ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋਈ ਹੈਗੀ, it was very concerning, it violated some laws perhaps, and there was potentially a quid pro quo. Which in simple or layman's terms means that somebody is seeking a favor in exchange for something else. So this is all that call started this whole process of impeachment. Lokan ne kya ki President Trump jehde hai nahi the, you know, he is asking a favor from the Ukraine president.
Was that a favor for the country or a personal favor?
So, you know, this is where there's multiple stories. These are all allegations. We don't know. That's what this impeachment process or inquiry is about. Allegations are on both sides. The Democratic side says that, well, this was on a personal side because President Trump wanted to, President Zelensky, Ukraine president, to investigate his political rival, Joe Biden. The Republican side of the story is, well, you know, we have been, United States, and which is true, has been pursuing Ukraine for the last 10 years to clean up corruption at their end. And President Trump did nothing different other than pressing on President Zelensky in the call, ki hey, tusi corruption waste ki kar rahe hoge, and by the fact in that matter, you know, to see a Burisma company hegi, energy company, which keeps the naam kafi andar rehta hai, I guess, ਇਸ ਮਾਮਲੇ 'ਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਬਰਿਸਮਾ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਕੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋਗੇ, and Joe Biden's son is a board member of Burisma. ਜੀ
ਤੇ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਹ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ $400 million ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮਿਲਟਰੀ ਏਡ ਸੀ, I understand ਕਿ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਕੰਸਰਨਿੰਗ ਹੈ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ Trump is alleged to have told the Ukrainian president कि असी ये fund तद release करेंगे when you stand up and declare कि तुसी एक formal investigation launch कर रहे हो Joe Biden दे son दे against और उनकी family दे against for their role with that company you just mentioned. Is that right?
Yes. So that's what the allegation is. The call ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ President Trump and President Zelensky ਦੇ ਵਿਚਕਾਰ, ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ there is no direct expressions which says कि President Trump ने क्या हैगा कि तुसी investigation start करो ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ aid ਮਿਲੇਗੀ। ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ written call ਦੀ transcript release ਹੋਈ ਹੈਗੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ।
But that is subject to interpretation. एक साइड कह रही है कि भाई इतने साफ हैगा कि obviously there's a word used such as favor, and the other side is saying कि ऐसा नहीं है. But there have been some witnesses ਜਿਹੜੇ यूक्रेन ਦੇ ਨਾਲ और ਜਿਹੜੇ कुछ career diplomats हैगे who have come forward and given testimony कि yes there seemed to be an understanding कि तुसी ये formally launch करोगे investigation तद ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ पैसा release किया जाएगा, तद तक नहीं किया जाएगा. Is that right?
You know, it's a lot of yes and no, I would say so. You know, it's a lot of he said, she said. आज तक जिन्ने भी ते बंदे आए हैं हाउस कमिटीज के सामने जिन्हों ने टेस्टिफाई किया हैगा अगेंस्ट ऑन दिस इंपीचमेंट प्रोसेस, सारे ने क्या हैगा कि मेरी अंडरस्टैंडिंग सी कि एक क्विड प्रो क्यो हैगा और या फेवर मंगया गया हैगा कि ट्रंप एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ने एड नू होल्ड किया सी अंटिल यूक्रेन प्रेसिडेंट लॉन्चेस ए इन्वेस्टिगेशन. बट किसी ने ऐ नहीं किया हैगा कि हाँ जी मैंने पता हैगा और ऐ प्रूफ हैगा. सारे कहते हैं कि मेरे ख्याल तो मेरी जी समझ आती है कि ऐसा सी, which is a very different thing than saying कि between the two persons there is an exchange of favor that happens. So this is where the crux of the matter is.
जी जाग जी असी ये गल जारी रखांगे एक छोटी जी ब्रेक के बाद. तुसी द वे फॉरवर्ड इज ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਹੁਤ-ਬਹੁਤ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ. ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਹੋਸਟ ਹਰਜੋਤ ਸਿੰਘ. ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟਲੀ US ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਡੋਨਾਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇੰਪੀਚਮੈਂਟ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੀਡਿੰਗਸ ਇਸ ਲਈ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ ਹਨ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ 'ਚ ਆਪਣੇ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਕੋਰਸਪੋਂਡੈਂਟ ਜੈਗ ਰਾਜਪਾਲ ਜੀ ਨਾਲ. ਜੈਗ ਜੀ, ਜੈਕ ਜੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਦੱਸੋ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਕਿ ਪਬਲਿਕਲੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੁਣ ਹੀਅਰਿੰਗ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਏਗੀ ਕੈਨ ਯੂ ਟੈਲ ਅਸ ਕਿ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਕੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਹੁਣ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈ
See, Harjot, basically just to bring more transparency in this whole process, usse karke aisa ho raha hai te ajhe tak jinni testimonies hui hain jitne bhi witnesses nu bulaya gaya hai वो सारे closed door private testimonies लिखी गई हैं in front of the committees which are composed of both Republicans and Democrats. जी. But impeachment process ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆਮ ਜਨਤਾ ਨੂੰ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਸਪੇਰੈਂਸੀ ਲਾਉਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਨੂੰ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਜੋ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈਗਾ TVs ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਹੋਇਆ people can watch on TV, hear on radios. Clarity and transparency ਲਾਉਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ public hearings are always held. This is how ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ impeachment process ਹੋਈ ਹੈਗੀ ਭਲੇ ਬਿਲ ਕਲਿੰਟਨ ਸੀ ਜਾਂ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਜਿਹਦੀ ਵੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈਗੀ ਸੋ ਹੁਣ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਪੀਕਰ ਪਲੋਸੀ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਸਟਾਰਟਿੰਗ ਨੈਕਸਟ ਵੀਕ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਟੈਸਟਮਨੀਜ਼ ਹੋਈ ਹਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਬੰਦੇ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ ਆ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹਨ ਕਲੋਜ਼ ਡੋਰ ਟੈਸਟਮਨੀ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਉਹ ਕਾਫੀ ਬੰਦੇ ਫਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਬੁਲਾਏ ਜਾਣਗੇ ਫॉर ਅ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਹੀਅਰਿੰਗ
ਉਹ ਸੇਮ ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਟੈਸਟਮਨੀ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਲਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਏਗੀ
ਸੇਮ ਐਂਡ देयर कुड बी मोर आल्सो
ਜੈਕ ਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਕਿ देयर इज स्टिल no clarity on कि इस ਨੂੰ quid pro quo किया जा सकता है कि नहीं or did something like that happen which is being alleged by the Democrats but ਅਸੀਂ ਵੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਕੁਝ ਜਿਹੜੇ career diplomats ਹਨ who are not very partisan people like Bill Taylor ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਬੜੀ strong testimony ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਈ ਹੈ confirming the allegations. What do you say to that?
Again, Harjot, yes and no. Yes, these are career diplomats. They should be trusted. They're honorable people. They are patriots as well. At the same time, you look at the other side. It's a kind of a glass half full. You look at the other view of the other side of the aisle. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ from day one all these career diplomats bureaucrats from day one they have never liked Trump's style of presidency. Trump is very brash, he's blunt. ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਬਲਕਿ he's always characterized by a lot of people as a bigoted xenophobic racist.
But isn't Gordon Sondland Trump appointee?
He is, in fact, he was one of the donors to President Trump's campaign as well, and who दो बारी आ चुके हैगा for a closed door testimony. पहली बारी जब आए सी 1.5 हफ्ता पहले उन्होंने क्या है कि कोई को नहीं सी. But when he came back yesterday, then he said कि मैंने याद हैगा कि एक पोलैंड च एक मीटिंग हुई सी जिदे विच इस टाइप दी कोई गल डिस्कस हुई सी between one aide and me. जी But
थोड़ी फनी जी उन्हां दी
ते ਉਹ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ
जी थोड़ी फनी जी उन्हां दी स्टेटमेंट है. He says कि my recollection is refreshed by other people's testimonies. But ਜਿਹੜੇ Bill Taylor he has worked with all administrations right from Nixon's time, right? He retired. He was brought back by I believe Pompeo, the Secretary of State, right?
Yes.
He's a veteran. He's a highly respected man, and una di jedi testimony, I think he might be a star witness against President Trump.
Definitely, I think it's a credible testimony. Again, but he said that his understanding was, see, the crux अजे भी उत्थे आ जांदा हैगा कि सारे बंदे आके कह रहे हैं कि मैन लगया हैगा कि क्विड प्रो को सी. कोई बंदा नहीं कहता कि मेरे को ईमेल हैगी या लिखत पढ़त चिट्ठी पत्री हैगी मेरे सामने जिदे च देखो ट्रंप एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन दे एक बंदे ने एक वाकया या ईमेल या कोई कम्युनिकेशन भेजा हैगा. कोई भी इस तरह का कोई सॉलिड प्रूफ नहीं दे पा रहा. सारे बंदे कहते हैं कि मैंने लगे है और मेरे दिमाग च ते क्लियर सी कि ट्रंप एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन इते फेवर मांग रहा हैगा. सो ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਪ੍ਰੂਵ ਕਰਨਾ ਥੋੜਾ ਔਖਾ ਕੰਮ ਹੈਗਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਐਂਡ ਯੂ ਹੈਵ ਟੂ ਜਸਟ ਗੋ ਬਾਈ ਪੀਪਲਸ ਵਰਡਸ ਬਟ ਯੂ ਨੋ ਅਗੇਨ ਅਜੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇੱਕ ਸੈਟ ਆਫ ਟੈਸਟਮਨੀਜ਼ ਆਈ ਹਨ ਯੂ ਵਿਲ when the impeachment inquiry goes into the public phase, President Trump, if he allows and if he actually supports this inquiry, he will get a chance to bring his testimonies as well. And you will have 20 such people saying it was not a quid pro quo. Hun tusi kisnu se trust karoge. So this is where how I think it will keep on going, and we'll see where it sort of how it culminates.
एक बड़े important जेडे witness and I think the Democrats might be contemplating कि उन्होंने लियाइए ना लियाइए, that is John Bolton, right?
Yes.
And what do you think? लेके आएंगे उन्होंने?
You know, and John Bolton has said that until he's forced, he will not voluntarily succumb to a subpoena.
Yes, but he has said that if he's subpoenaed, he'll come and appear. He'll testify.
He will come and appear, yes.
जी.
And it'll be interesting to see, you know, as you know, ਸਾਡੇ viewers ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਪਤਾ ਹੋਏ ਧਿਆਨ ਹੋਏ ਕਿ Bolton was recently let go of President Trump's administration because of differences of opinions, especially related to Ukraine and other matters and Syria. So, you know, there is already a little bit of differences between these two people. ਕੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ ਕੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਬਣੀ ਹੈਗੀ and now that creates a kind of you know ambiguity in whatever he says.
And no one is sure when it comes to John Bolton that's been his life, right? ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਦੱਸੋ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਵਿਸਲ ਬਲੋਅਰ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ, ਆਈ ਅੰਡਰਸਟੈਂਡ ਕਿ ਕੁਛ ਯੂ ਨੋ ਸਮਥਿੰਗ ਹੈਜ਼ ਬੀਨ ਡਨ ਰੀਸੈਂਟਲੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਡੋਨਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ ਦੇ ਬੇਟੇ ਇਨ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਟਰੰਪ ਜੂਨੀਅਰ ਹੀ ਨੇਮਡ ਸਮਬਡੀ that he is a whistleblower. Can you tell us about the protections that are given to whistleblowers under US law?
So, you know, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡਾ whistleblower protection statute ਹੈਗਾ, law ਹੈਗਾ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ you know any whistleblower ਬੰਦਾ ਕੌਣ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਬੰਦਾ who's working for the government in because ਅਸੀਂ government ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ. Whistleblower can exist in a private corporation also. So ਕੋਈ ਬੰਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ government ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ and he reports a possible existing of some kind of activity which ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਸਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ it's a violation of a law, rules, regulation or you know gross management of funds, you know, and similar things, then he can go and complain to the Inspector General कि फला फला बंदा इस तरह abuse कर रहा हैगा या इस तरह गलत काम कीता हैगा. And the law says that no such retaliatory action will be taken against such a whistleblower if he files a complaint. The only other specific thing the law says that the Inspector General of the intelligence community to whom this complaint is made, he is the one जिसमें complaint मिली हैगी, he will not reveal the identity of the whistleblower, which makes sense, it's a common sense, but it's in the law also. But when आजकल जड़ी गल चल रही हैगी कि can anybody else leak the name of the whistleblower? Can you or President Trump or can the speaker or somebody else, can the press release the name? The law does not say anything about that. So it's subject to interpretation. We all know our laws are, you know, especially constitution and laws, they get ambiguous. So us ambiguity karke, I think people are holding themselves back. But the law have koi wording clear hai.
But I think this would be common sense that the intent of the law would be to hide the identity of that person ताकि उस दे खिलाफ कोई retribution ना होए. ਅਸੀਂ ਜੈਕ ਜੀ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹਾਂਗੇ, ਜਾਰੀ ਰੱਖਾਂਗੇ ਇੱਕ ਛੋਟੀ ਜੀ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ. The Way Forward ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਫਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ. ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਹੋਸਟ ਹਰਜੋਤ ਸਿੰਘ. ਅਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਜੈਗ ਰਾਜਪਾਲ ਜੀ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇੰਪੀਚਮੈਂਟ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੀਡਿੰਗਸ ਜਿਸ 'ਤੇ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਪਈ ਹੈ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਟਰੰਪ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ, ਉਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ 'ਚ. ਜੈਗ ਜੀ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੰਪੀਚਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੋ ਇਹ ਕਈ ਜਿਹੜੇ lawsuits ਔਰ convictions ਇਸ ਐਡਮਿਨਿਸਟ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਤੋਂ ਰਿਲੇਟਡ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ. We have seen convictions of Paul Manafort, Michael Flynn, the national security advisor, President Trump, their personal attorney, Rick Gates, right? ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਟ੍ਰਾਇਲ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ, another person who has been very closely associated with President Trump's campaign, Roger Stone. ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੋਗੇ ਇਸ ਟ੍ਰਾਇਲ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਚ ਔਰ ਕੀ ਐਲੀਗੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਇਸ ਕੇਸ ਵਿੱਚ?
Hanji Harjot, Roger Stone's, the flamboyant aide of Trump, is a very close associate of President Trump.
जी.
ਉਹਦੇ against, Mueller ਨੇ allegations ਲਾਈ ਸੀ ਕਿ he colluded or he helped collude Trump's campaign with Russia, which led to the Russian interference in 2020 elections. So when he took testimonies of Roger Stone during the Mueller investigation, kafi cheezain came out that he's either hiding, he's lying, and there looked like a clear evidence where he had colluded in helping Russia interfere with the election. So do char cheezein jehdi te ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ against allegations हैं, and this trial, that's what the trial ਜਿਹੜਾ start ਹੋਇਆ ਕੱਲ ਪਰਸੋਂ. ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ Roger Stone ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਜੂਲੀਅਨ ਅਸਾਂਜ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵਿਕੀਲੀਕਸ ਤੋਂ ਐਸੋਸੀਏਟ ਬੰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਐਂਡ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੈਟਿਕ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੀ ਈਮੇਲਸ ਨੂੰ ਲੀਕ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ, ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹਦਾ ਕੀ ਤਾਲਮੇਲ ਸੀ, ਉਹ ਉਸਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਸੀ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਉਸਨੇ ਤੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ. ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਜੂਲੀਅਨ ਅਸਾਂਜ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਇੰਟਰਮੀਡੀਏਟ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਸਨੇ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਇਸਨੇ ਤੇ ਝੂਠ ਬੋਲਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ. ਹੀ ਕਵਰਡ ਦੈਟ ਅਪ. And there's many other allegations against him, but most importantly ki jehdi information has to mili hegi from WikiLeaks and Julian Assange, he colluded that information with President Trump's then campaign to help him in the election. So ਇਹ ਤਿੰਨ ਚਾਰ ਵੱਡੇ allegations ਹਨ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੇ trial start ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ.
I believe ਅੱਜ ਕੁਝ ਟੈਕਸਟ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਏ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਚ ਰੋਜਰ ਸਟੋਨ ਇੱਕ ਗੈਂਗਸਟਰ ਸਟਾਈਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਥ੍ਰੈਟਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਪਏ ਉਸ ਰੇਡੀਓ ਹੋਸਟ ਨੂੰ, ਰੈਂਡੀ ਕ੍ਰੋਡੀਕੋ I believe he's called, ਜਿਸ ਵਾਸਤੇ he alleged ਕਿ he was a person who set up the meeting, and whereas that was found out not to be true, right?
Yeah, that's right.
ਜੀ. ਐਂਡ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਅੱਜ ਕੋਰਟ ਦਾ ਆਰਡਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਹੈ ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਰਟ ਨੇ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਟਰੰਪ ਨੂੰ some $2 million ਕੁਝ ਚੈਰਿਟੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਣ ਲਈ ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਆਫ ਸਮ ਮਿਸਯੂਜ਼ ਆਫ the funds of his foundation, which is a charitable foundation. ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਕੁਝ ਦੱਸੋਗੇ?
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਹਰਜੋਤ, ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਟਰੰਪ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਨਾਨ ਚੈਰੀਟੇਬਲ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜੇਸ਼ਨ ਸੀ ਟਰੰਪ ਫਾਊਂਡੇਸ਼ਨ, ਉਹਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਲਾਸੂਟ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਵੇਅਰ ਅਮੰਗਸ ਮੈਨੀ ਅਦਰ ਥਿੰਗਸ ਇੱਕ ਐਲੀਗੇਸ਼ਨ ਸੀ ਇਨ ਵਿਚ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਟਰੰਪ ਦੀ ਟੀਮ ਨੇ ਐਕਨੋਲੇਜ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਦੇ improperly allowed the campaign staff to coordinate with this charitable organization in holding a fundraiser for the veterans leading up to the 2016 election. काफी लोगों को याद होगा कि प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप ने उस वक्त pledge किया था कि I'm going to raise a lot of money for the veterans. But he coordinated his campaign to work with the charitable organization, and साडा जरा अमेरिका का law हैगा, it bars any political association coordination of non charitable organization or non-profit organization. So that was the big thing. Amongst many other things, there are smaller things. करीब $2 lakh ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਹੋਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸੈਟਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਟਰੰਪ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਟਰੰਪ ਓਨ ਗੋਲਫ ਕੋਰਸਸ ਹਨ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੋਈ ਇਵੈਂਟਸ ਹੋਸਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ from this non-profit organization. They also promoted President Trump's hotels in some of those charitable events that were hosted by this Trump Foundation. So ਇਹ ਦੋ ਚਾਰ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਟੋਟਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਸੈਟਲਮੈਂਟ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈਗਾ.
So a settlement has been reached for a sum of $2 million.
ਹਾਂਜੀ, yes, that's right.
ਜੀ. ਜੈਕ, ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਜਾਣਨਾ ਚਾਹਾਂਗੇ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਇਹ ਇੰਪੀਚਮੈਂਟ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੀਡਿੰਗਸ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਇਸ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਇਫੈਕਟ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਕੀ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ? ਹੁਣੇ ਰੀਸੈਂਟਲੀ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਹੋਈ ਹਨ ਲਾਸਟ ਟਿਊਜ਼ਡੇ. ਸੋ ਹਾਊ ਆਰ ਦੋਜ਼ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ? ਕੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਰਿਜ਼ਲਟਸ ਰਹੇ? And do you see any impact of these impeachment proceedings on those results?
So Harjot, it's a good segue. If I may, I think there are two ways as I see the outcome of these last Tuesday's elections.
जी.
एक ते हैगा कि there's a lot of anti-Trump sentiments amongst a lot of larger population segment. ते उदा effect की रहेगा. And the second is कि the Democratic Party, which is being driven to a very progressive charters, uda inte effect ki rahega on this election. So if you look at the Tuesday's election, keeping these two high-level things in mind, the Republicans overall, they won 12 out of the 13 statewide elections. That's the high-level summary. जिथे इते contention आया हैगा, it's Kentucky चे, जिथे की governor election is still on a stalemate.
Okay.
The incumbent governor Matt Bevin, he's recalled for a recanvass of the elections, क्योंकि जो vote difference हैगा between his contender, Democratic guy Andy Beshear, is just close to 5,000 votes.
जी.
It's a very close tie race, but खासिया बात है कि जड़ा governor सी Matt Bevin, he's a very unpopular governor. He made a lot of anti-union stands, anti-labor stands, and he had a 20-point deficit leading into these elections. But just a couple of days before election, President Trump showed up and he helped rally Governor Bevin, which helped him narrow this gap. So, it looks like President Trump has a big sway still in his base. He was able to close a huge gap in a matter of days.
That might be subject to interpretation, Jagji. There might be people saying that President Trump stood there 2 days back and said, this is almost like a referendum on him. He said कि message बड़ा गलत जाएगा अगर तुसी हराओगे, and he pleaded with people, don't do that to me, and still the Republican governor lost, although by a very narrow margin, but he did lose.
He's not the boss. I think they're going to go for recanvass of the votes, so we'll see how the outcome comes out. On the second side, if you look at the same state, Kentucky, Daniel Cameron, he was being elected as the first Republican Attorney General. He's African American and first Republican to become Attorney General in over 70 years. So huge, I think, victory for African American community and also from a Republican Party to get a very diverse face. There's some history that made, and if you look at Mississippi, we had the first female Attorney General who got elected, but she also was a Republican. So we saw some mixed results, but the two key takeaways, is that in Virginia, the state, both House and the Senate was overtaken by the Democratic Party. So it was a blue wave that we saw in Virginia. But what's, I think, in my opinion, is not important that it was a blue wave, but more important is कि जेड़े बंदे जितने हैं, what kind of policies they held. All these people were very moderate Democrats.
That's very important. That's very important for the 220 elections. ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਇੱਕ ਛੋਟੀ ਜੀ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ. The way forward is ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਫਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ. ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਹੋਸਟ ਹਰਜੋਤ ਸਿੰਘ. ਜੈਕ ਜੀ, so you would say कि ये ਜਿਹੜੀ blue wave कुछ लोग claim करते पे, this is limited to Virginia. You won't say there's a blue wave across the country that we saw last Tuesday. Is that right?
Yes. I think it was just confined to Virginia. Everywhere else, I think Republicans, they even made their foothold stronger. But speaking of Virginia, the खास बात हैगी कि जिथे local elections, state level elections से जेडे Democrats जिते हैं, most of them, majority of them were moderate Democrats. So ऐसा पता लगता है कि जेडी Republican Party ने जेडे votes lose कीते हैं, which primarily came from the suburban parts of Virginia, those voters, in instead of flocking towards Republican candidates, they went for a moderate Democrat. So probably, I think it's a lesson or is a key message to the national level Democratic players. Going into next year, it's most going to be helpful to have a moderate candidate. Another interesting thing happened, speaking of that, Washington State, progressive charters took place several years ago, and it's a very big stronghold of progressiveness. Over there, the local mayor, who was a progressive candidate, lost. A lot of the local constituents who are running for local assembly in Seattle, all these are progressive candidates. They all lost big time against the Republican candidates.
Jagji, let me ask you this. ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ elections ਦੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ, you said the moderate Democrats won and they won against Republicans. There must have been a primary process at some stage. ਤੇ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ moderate Democrats and ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਏ ਨੇ, ਕਿਆ ਇਹ progressive Democrats ਨੂੰ ਹਰਾ ਕੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਏ ਨੇ? Is that what you're saying? That within the Democratic Party, you see, outsiders don't vote in the primaries. So within the Democratic Party, there's a shift towards the moderates rather than the progressives. Is that what you're saying?
As an individual, like in Virginia, that's what we saw.
That's what we saw in Virginia.
That's what happened. That state level elections were in, a lot of moderate Democrats, they defeated their progressive colleagues to win the ballot on the Democratic Party side, and they in turn then repeated their Republican side. Washington State, it was just city level elections. The primaries nahi hundi at city level, but the progressives all lost against the Republicans, where they were butted against Republicans. So that's the message. I think is ki progressive agenda jo aayega, maybe we have to be very careful at the national level, how it might fly, how it might impact the 2020 elections.
And we are seeing a challenge to that from within the party. Nancy Pelosi has come out saying that some of these things won't fly in November. She has come with a slogan, remember November, right? Remember November, the November election. And then today we saw Hillary Clinton coming out against the ideas of Medicare, single payer, Medicare for all. So is there a pushback within the Democratic Party against those ideas which they believe might not get them the White House in 2020?
I think so, and this is where I think, I believe, because if you look at the top three contenders in the Democratic primaries, Warren, Sanders, and Biden, two-thirds of them are very extremely progressive candidates. And we know, I think, going into the party is realizing that, agenda jo aayega backfire na kar jaye against President Donald Trump, who's the sitting incumbent. Say, that's one of the reasons why there's a very political stance being taken how to handle the impeachment also. It's called, I think a lot of people are calling it the impeachment gate. In lack of a better policy, use that as a weapon to defeat Donald Trump. So, it's like you said, Speaker Pelosi is very mindful. Hillary Clinton recently said that we should be mindful in choosing a candidate who can not only win popular vote, but electoral vote, which is what's important.
Jagji, sanu dasoge ki jehdi a primary process chalda pe Democratic presidential nomination vaste, where does it stand? Who are the front runners right now? Who has been left out? Kon chhad gaye? I believe certain candidates have declared ki wo race se bahar nikal rahe hain. Is that right?
Yes, the most recent departure was the Texas Congressman Pete Buttigieg. He left the race, citing that he doesn't have enough funds to last this primary campaign. One of the primary reasons for his loss or his early exit, as people are saying, is because he openly came out saying that I'll be the first person who will clearly take everybody's guns away. So, it's being, challenged that probably, I think, kind of dried up his campaign funds from a lot of the independents and Democrats, conservative Democrats, who still believe that, guns are a part of our life. So right now, after his departure, Kamala Harris is still trailing, in single digits. The top three candidates are Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Joe Biden.
Who's the front runner right now?
So if you look at national poll, Joe Biden is still the front runner. But if you look at Iowa caucus polls that are just focusing on Iowa, over there, Elizabeth Warren is the front runner.
Oh, okay. And we hear that Kamala Harris is walking on thin ice. Is that right?
Yes. Her campaign has been struggling. New Hampshire, which holds the first primary, just right after Iowa caucus, she has fired most of the campaign staffers over there. She has thinned it out. So it looks like, I think she's losing a lot of momentum, and which we could see coming into the Democratic debates, that she's clearly losing momentum nationally and in her own state of California.
And I believe Pete Buttigieg, he has gained some momentum. Is that right?
Very interesting. At a national level, Pete Buttigieg, he's polling at single digits, 9 to 10 points, whereas the other three frontrunners are in their 15 to 20 points range. But in Iowa caucus, Pete Buttigieg is almost at par with rest of the candidates. He's 15, Warren is 17, Sanders is 16, Biden is 15. So they're all kind of a collusion of four candidates with same equal footing over there.
जैक जी सानू ये देखने को मिलता है कि and it's alleged कि जेडी Elizabeth Warren है, she has started taking some stance towards the center with some particular things. Maybe वो कह रहे कि ओबामा केयर नू असी थोड़ा improve कर सकते हैं, modify कर सकते हैं, not necessarily take the whole thing out. Is there any truth to that, or is this just a posturing for the primaries?
I think it's more of a posturing for the primaries. Having said that, a lot of people say, what's the key difference between Sanders and Warren? Elizabeth Warren has adopted most of the progressive policies that Sanders ने champion की थी in last 4 or 5 years. But the key difference is, Bernie Sanders, he's a self-proclaimed democratic socialist who's advocating revolution. Whereas Elizabeth Warren, she claims herself as a capitalistic person through, working for the working class people. So her slogan is slightly different, even though the policies she's trying to use to achieve that objective are similar to Bernie Sanders, but she claims that she has a full confidence in capitalism.
But she's always butting her head against these big corporations, which dread her, right?
This is where I feel that it's more of a posture for the primary election, because she is the one who is being very vocal के Facebook and Amazon जिन companies हैं उन्होंने break up किया जाना चाहिए, they should be broken into smaller chunks. That's a very anti-capitalistic stance that she has taken. So yes, you're right.
Jack ji, any truth to the rumors that Hillary Clinton or Mayor Bloomberg might be considering joining the race at any time?
आज दी खबर है कि हरजोत के Mayor Bloomberg is seriously considering putting his hat in the fray for the Democratic primary. That looks like a very credible rumor. We'll wait and see. But I think so far rumors about Hillary Clinton, I think I haven't seen much substance to it.
But there's a credible rumor that Mayor Bloomberg might be jumping in?
Anji, yes.
That would be something that needs to be watched closely. जैक जी ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਸ਼ੁਕਰੀਆ। ਇਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਸਾਰੀ ਅਪਡੇਟ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ ਜੋ ਇਸ ਲਈ ਯੂਐਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਡਿਵੈਲਪਮੈਂਟਸ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹਨ, ਇੰਪੀਚਮੈਂਟ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ, ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੈਟਿਕ ਪ੍ਰਾਇਮਰੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ। ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਡਿਵੈਲਪਮੈਂਟ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਰਹਾਂਗੇ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੇਖਦੇ ਰਹੋ ਦ ਵੇ ਫਾਰਵਰਡ।